let's take a look at how to get your polar coordinate graph out of Desmos and into Illustrator, into something that you can then make traceable and cuttable for the laser cutter. So from here, we want to share your graph. Your option with this is to export the image. So you're going to export that image, not as a PNG file, you're going to export it as an SVG. Now, I have done this as a thin line, and the size is medium square. That's fine. You can export it to something larger, but we're going to control the size in Illustrator. So whatever you do is fine, as long as what you're downloading is again, the SVG, not the PNG file. So that's what we're looking for. So what you'll see for your file is desmos-graph.svg. Okay. Then we're going to go to Illustrator. Yay, Illustrator. And per usual, you're going to create a new file, and over here, consider doing this in inches, and it's 18 by 24, right? So 24 wide, 18 high, and that is the laser bed so that you can see how big something is going to be on the material you're going to cut from. So there we go. My other suggestion is, remember, Command R will bring up your rulers so you can see in real time how big something is, because it can be a bit of a disconnect if you are thinking that this is paper size as opposed to laser bed size, right? So we are going to then also open that latest Desmos file. Let's see, that one, that's the one I just downloaded. So I'm going to open that. And this is the file that we have. Now, I am going to select that whole thing, and I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to go back to our full size and paste it so you can see how big that is relative to everything else. Now, the other thing that we know about this is that the red stroke is actually a fairly wide stroke, right? And if we look here, we have, let's make that a black stroke, and let's make sure what? No fill, right? No fill. So now we can kind of see that a little better. But here we have, again, if it were to cut, it would cut out each of these little pieces, and all you would have is a bunch of little pieces. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to increase that stroke size. So we can do that over here. And let's try, what's a 10-point stroke look like? A little thicker. It's still fairly skinny in a lot of these places. So maybe let's try 20. And then it starts to fill it in, okay? Maybe we want something in between. Let's try 16. That looks pretty good, and it gives us a fairly decent solid piece in the middle, right? So we can see that. So what we want to do is not necessarily cut on each of these vector lines, but instead what you want to do is trace. So you have an inside and an outside, so it will cut out what is currently a black shape, or the illusion of a shape. So while we are here, we can use the direct selection tool to select the box on the outside and delete it, hit delete twice. Now what we have is this little graphic without the box around it. We can move that around. I don't know why we have stuff out there. That's okay. So now we're going to take that and we're going to rasterize it. And by rasterizing it, transparent background, okie dokie, we now have a graphic. But what we're now going to do is go back and retrace that with image trace, make and expand. Okay, and yes, we're going to do that. And remember, when we do this, I'm going to slide this off to the side here, right? It traces the outside, the white, and the black. So we go back to the direct selection tool and we start getting rid of the white parts that we don't need. So we can click on that white and hit delete. And then you can see, oh, right, we have these white parts. Hit delete. So we want to get rid of all of those. And sometimes you have to hit delete twice, depends on what part of it you are clicking on. And I'm not zooming in very far, so I'm clicking a couple of times to get rid of all of that. And the white one over here, twice, here, twice, here. There we go. So now we have this, and you can see how it has just that vector, but it's a fill. So we're going to flip this And now it looks like something you may recognize from your design class where you can cut this out. Now, the only other things that we need to do, go back to the full selection tool so I can move this around all as one. You could then do any number of things, right? You could, if you wanted a hole cut out of the middle, you could go add a shape. You have the capacity to do these kinds of things, right? So you can, whatever it is you need to do, you can, beyond like just getting the coordinates in. So you could do that kind of thing. And that would cut the hole right out of the middle. Voila. The only other thing you have to remember, right, is the stroke weight needs to be 0.001 in order to cut. So you can fix that here. You can also fix that on the Windows machine over by the laser cutter. And again, we're just going to double check this. This is about 6 by 6-ish, 5.5. If we move it fully over to the side, if there are a couple of you that want to cut out of the same material, you could put these together and cut more than one at a time. Remember to do your best not to waste materials. If I were going to do several of these, again, you can copy and paste. I would try and figure out how to fit these together maybe in a way that would let me maximize the use of materials. All of this has its own, these are not fitting together super well. But you have these kinds of options. So this is the plan. Remember to save, right? Not untitled, good heavens. And as an AI file, right? You need it to save as that AI file. And you have all the parts and pieces you need to make something cool from your polar coordinates. Have fun, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.